I'm ready to get wild.
Ready to get wild.
I was gonna ask you a hair question on air, but I wasn't sure if I should save it
Oh, of
on air
course.
or
Save
after.
it. Ask
Are
it.
you gonna play the video?
I'm
Jesus
looking
Christ.
for it.
Get out the face! Get out the face! Hans, get off the face!
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 448th episode of the GeekVerse podcast. I am the lemon for Tobey, Travis Snell, and I'm joined by
The mad Kirklin Patzer.
the mad Kirklin Patzer. Yes, ladies and
It fits
gentlemen,
my ambiance, right? It's like mad energy with this light. You think?
Kirkland just proved that he is very white. We are here to do a newscast. What does this ambience mean mad? What does red mean mad? What are you, Robert
Red's an
Pattinson's
aggressive
Batman?
color. Red's
Yeah,
definitely
yeah.
an aggressive. Look
Your
at the trailer.
vengeance?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Vengeance.
Oh, I've been looking at the trailer.
mad.
I've been. That's what he'll say in the sequel. Who are you? I'm mad. And like, I don't understand what you mean by that. I got the red light, but I understand. I've been listening. I have not had a day since that track came out where I've been not listening to it. I love that track so much by Michael
It's an aggressive
Giacchino.
color he's got on there.
Oh, I can't wait. I'm just walking the bus stop ready to fuck someone. I'm just waiting for someone to break crime. Like Hines was talking with us on DC Alliance, how he put on a hood and was just wanting to act justice. That's me. I'm walking through work just like, hey, did you fucking look at that woman the wrong way? I'll fuck you up. And then I get arrested. And
You better
now
be
they
careful you're saying that too. Do a Liam Neeson route or something.
yeah, let's move away before we get Liam Neeson to ourselves. So, ladies and gentlemen, we got a newscast. It's a little bit of a different week because it was supposed to be a GV3, but Taylor had to go get some furniture. So next week, if all goes to plan, you're gonna get 2 GV3 episodes. So that should be fun. We got some juicy stuff. We're talking Tobey, which is always a good time. We're talking Star Wars. We're talking Moon Knight. We're talking Mortal Kombat. It's gonna be a good time. But Taylor is not here. See, look at that. Look at that. Oh my!
So you
chair.
just play a clip of him just recording. You like
100%. So this way I'm gonna say we got lots of good stuff coming out. SPUB says I think that's what Robert Pattinson wants to do based on what he says in interviews. Yeah, did you read that quote? He's like, I didn't play Batman. I felt like I was Batman. Now, as a Batman fan, that gets me very excited. But that is also like a oh man. What's going on with this
What's
guy?
he doing?
He's just that's why him and Zoe had sex on the Batmobile, right?
That's right.
He didn't know the difference between Bruce and Robert Pattinson anymore. But
Maybe he didn't care. Who knows?
no, he didn't care. But we got lots of good stuff. You weren't on it, but we had a banging Boba Fett episode last night. Man, was it a good one.
I started the newscast. I almost clicked the boba, but I know the spoiler section is like 2 seconds long usually for those types of reviews. So I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna wait till I see the episode. And I watched the episode now. I'm not gonna say anything for anyone that hasn't seen the episode. But
Are you mad at
damn.
Are you
It's a good
mad out of
show.
all the ones that you stayed up for? This is the one you slept on, you know?
Well, I had other reasons. It's not.
No,
even
no,
like,
I know, but I mean, like, if you could have a redo and, like, if you could have got your booster one of the other episodes and been awake for this one, you would have traded it, I imagine, right? Like, or did you really want to see Boba
it's also
pin that
fun to
raincorn?
just like shit on like Boba and just laugh on like his just most ridiculous things. I have to be like, kid, did you actually see that? Or like, am I tripping? I know it's late, but still. He's like, no, yeah, that happened, but he's so positive on it. It's like, oh, okay, this is interesting, but I am sad I missed it, but I know you guys carried the torch there, so.
Well, good thing is we still got 2 more episodes, and I think from this episode we're gonna have. I think the next 2 are not gonna be what we had problems with. I think we're at least gonna have some really good stuff to talk about for us. So go check that out. Got another newscast. Peacemaker's coming up. That's at midnight tonight. Fuck, lots of good things. We got a comic versions that I've read year 1, but I'm trying to reread it. I've been slow on it, but tomorrow I'm just gonna steamroll through it.
It's not
Kirkland,
that
where?
long. Easy
No,
watch.
it's not.
Or
It's
easy read. I
there
guess
is a movie. I think it's on Crave if you want to watch it. The animated movie. It's pretty good.
Really?
Yep.
They just
made
adapt it like
Yep.
panel by panel.
Pretty much. That like the DC
Same art
movies.
style and everything.
Yeah, the DC movies do that. Then they'll change a few things. They've been a lot more worse with that now lately of really changing some things. So, but yeah, when we put
Interesting.
out all this content, Kirkland, where can they find it on the interwebs?
They can find us at GeekVerse.ca. That's our homepage
Yes.
for all of our great content. They link you to basically everything. You can find us on Twitter. I think it's at GeekVerse Podcast.
Just
Gosh.
cast. Podcast was too
GeekVerse
long.
Cast. There
Yeah.
you go. I hate that. I was setting up a Twitter page for something that I'm not going to talk about, but it's 15 characters. Like,
Yeah.
come on. Like what's the reason? Anyways, that's a rant for another day. But anyways,
Just
you can check
be
us out on
happy you have
Facebook,
Kirkland
Twitter.
Patzer. Because I didn't get Trav Snell. I had to be Travis Beast now. Because there's fucking Trav Snell who hasn't tweeted in years, but he still has it. You know.
I think there's a basketball player named Travis Snell, so you kind of missed out there.
Yeah, there is, but I'm better than him. So.
I agree. He probably doesn't have a podcast. Maybe he does. But
Nope.
anyways, you can check us on Facebook, on Twitter, on Patreon. That's the golden place to be. Any donation at all is muchly appreciated. But more than that, you can give us a question. I'm not sure if we have any questions this cast. I'm sure.
No, we don't.
Travis
That was.
Snell.
I think that's
Okay.
kind of my bad because I find that when I put them in earlier in the day, it happens. But today was a very busy day. To break the fourth wall, we've had lots of meetings this week, and you're gonna get to hear all about that next week of why we've had lots of meetings. But we've been very busy, which is all good for you guys. Lots of good stuff coming. But I've been a
Absolutely.
little off the game today. So someone had already taken S Bubs already. I haven't even noticed that. What does
condolences.
S Bubs have then for his? I'd
That's
have
a
to
good
look.
question.
S
I
Bubs
was
just tell me in the
looking.
chat because I don't want to look it up live on air. But I thought you were, and I got to show S Bubs because I feel like I was the first one to like it. He had a fantastic tweet the other day where. And S Bubs, he knows what he's doing. He had that clip from Amazing Spider-Man 2 of Andrew being like, "Oh, this is what Vigilante was like," and we don't know who Spider-Man is. Could be man, could be a woman, could be multiple people. And I thought that was a fire tweet. And then I look at it like a few days later because Dave from Film Junkie, check out his show all the time, doing a bunch of great stuff over there. He had retweeted it. He has no fucking clue who S Bubs is. I tell you that much, S Bubs. No disrespect, but like Dave just met us this year, and one day we'll get you onto his ways. But he retweeted it, and then I looked at the video. It was like at 16K views and stuff like that. But I do like S Bubs. You could say I'm wrong, but I feel like I was one of, if not the first person to like that video, and I helped get it there. But I was very impressed. You know, I want to give a big shout out of people really liked my Boba Fett one last week about the ship. I got a lot of good views on that about the I don't care. But yeah, lots of good stuff popping off. Like Kirkland said, the website, but if you want to know where the website is in the description below. We had someone, Carlos, today hit us up and asked the Discord link. I try to change it every month, but if you really want the Discord link, just tweet at us or message on Facebook or something like that. Because Discord's the worst. They change it every some unnamed time of when you can join the group chat. So it sucks. We've had many people try to join it before and it just doesn't work. So we try to keep it updated, but if you want to join, just hit us up and we'll let you know. And yeah, Patreon, ad-free exclusive early episodes, podcast networks doing its thing. You got us with multiple feeds. So lots of good stuff is happening now and in the future. And yeah, we got lots of things coming up. So let's talk about a big one. So this is very, Taylor's kind of mad that I bumped it, but I'm very happy I did because there's so lots of stuff. Obviously, No Way Home comes out, right? We talk bunch of Tobey, Andrew, blah, blah, blah. So a rumor happened around this weekend, and I was like, okay, that's peculiar. But then there was enough to be like, it might not be true. But that's why I bumped it. Like, okay, we'll still do it as a topic because we do 2 newscasts. Let's save something. Now, thank you to S Bubs, our national scooper. S Bubs, when you hit it big, don't forget where you came from. You know, like
Yeah.
you like when you have scoops that you want to break on a podcast, you better send them our way or something like that,
I
or
want
give
that
us a little
exclusive.
Exactly. Yeah. Even if you don't want us to tell people or just be like a source, absolutely. But anyway, so he had shared in our Discord. That's why he shared the Discord of another thing that backed this up. So I'm gonna give you the breadcrumbs, Kirkland, and we're gonna talk about 2 that Kirkland. Yeah, Kirkland was interviewing with Tobey and Tom. No, Tom, Tobey, and Andrew finally did an interview all together. Very fun. We'll talk about this just a little bit. But so, Doctor Strange Multiverse Madness coming up in May. Lots of cameos rumored. I'm going to talk about one as well later on in our stories. So this week, there was an actress who does, I can't remember what she does the voice dub for, but how each country will have like, oh, this is the person that dubs, Benedict Cumberbatch's voice in Spain or Italy
Right.
or in Mexico, right? So it was the woman who does S-Bubs says the S-Bubs made an account 2009 and never tweeted. Mine is the S-Bubs. Well, that sucks. But you know, it's like The Rock. You know, it's fine. It's
Totally.
yeah, it works. So she had Instagram or tweeted out some sort of photo of like, oh, lots of crazy things coming your way. So it's a picture of her and a picture of another guy. This other guy is the guy who does the voice for Tobey for all the different Spider-Man movies in different languages. Now, this is where it was like, okay, it might not be true because you know what he also does? He does the voice for James Marsden in the X-Men movies. So you go, okay, Cyclops because we've heard like Patrick Stewart might be in here. There's other rumors we might talk about as far as a certain Claude individual. But it's like, okay, that's believable. If there's going to be a bunch of cameos that, okay, maybe it's not Tobey, but it is just Cyclops because that could be fun. Multiverse, we're just having some fun. Cool. Now, S-Bub shares the story from Disney Insider, who has gotten stuff right before. I kind of put them in like the higher C tier of, I think it was on an episode, they said Tobey Maguire will be in Multiverse of Madness. They do not know about Andrew Garfield yet, but assume he'll be in it, which that's just like, I feel like a funny phrasing. Assume he'll be in it, which I'm not going to assume and everything like that. But so before I ask you the believability of all this, how does this make you feel, Kirklin, as far as we got him in No Way Home, and we already talked about like, oh, will we see them again and stuff like that? What would you feel about whether it's Tobey and Andrew, but Tobey more specifically because there's more evidence. What would you feel about Tobey Maguire being in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, who is directed by Sam Raimi, who obviously directed the original trilogy, which is another kind of like string of like all these things lining up. So how do you feel about seeing him again, kind of even so soon after No Way Home?
Yeah, I mean, just personally, I would absolutely love it. I love Tobey. I don't follow all of his works, but like I feel like he's just one of those that just transcends so highly because he was my Spider-Man. He was my favorite superhero character at like the perfect age for me. Just you know, nice and young. That was like the first time I had actually seen Spider-Man, other than maybe like the '60s TV show. But so like it's an easy question to answer there. But just how I'm feeling of like, is the world ready for more Tobey? I absolutely think so. I think like his reception was so well received, and I know we'll talk about it more, but just like the interview he did today too, some of the things he was talking about on like the character and how he was able to come back and not necessarily, I mean, this is just speaking to if you've actually seen the movie. It's not even like they finished off his story. Like it's a nice nod to that Peter and that universe, but it's not like, and he lived happily ever after. Or
it's not closing the chapters.
No,
he said.
not at all.
Yeah.
He didn't die to save the day or anything like that, right? So it totally makes sense logistically, and just the way that he was talking about the subject matter of portraying that role. Sam Raimi got brought up very briefly, kind of like his reaction to the film, and just the way that Tobey was like talking about, oh yeah, no, I haven't like
that
it
was
just
suspicious.
it seemed like he was
Haven't talked to
tiptoeing around the
Sam.
question. Yeah, like not trying to put too much attention on it. Like, okay, let's just navigate this for a very quick answer so we can get on to the next question or something like that.
It was
and
like
then-
either there's something up or he actually fucking hates Sam Raimi now and they don't talk. And it's like, oh, like when they bring up that
Yeah.
person like in high school that you're not really friendly, like, oh, cool, they're gonna be at the party. I'm gonna take the former and say I don't think Sam Raimi and Tobey are beefing. So it did feel like a little odd for him to be like, oh yeah, I didn't see that. That's cool. And then he like brushed it very quietly under the rug, like, okay, let's move on. You know?
Yeah, and then so like all those reasons, and then just on top of I was already kind of speculating who I could think would be a big person in Multiverse of Madness. I feel like you could make a huge list and not really get too far off at this point. Like anyone's really fair play, I think, for an appearance in Multiverse of Madness. But just for like the time to that interview, and just the world's ready for more Tobey. They're ready for that version of Peter. So I think it would not harm the film at all. If anything, it would just boost it like exponentially. So I think that's an awesome idea, and I hope it's real.
If Tobey was in it because of No Way Home, they hit him. If Tobey was in it, do you think they'd advertise this time?
It's interesting because like, do you play the same trick twice and try and get like the same result, right? Like if okay, we're hiding Tobey even though it's the worst kept secret in the world.
Especially this is just January. When we get closer,
Yeah.
more people see it. like you don't know what leaks. I remember
Yeah.
at one point we had a scaffolding of Andrew Garfield in this blue screen, and that ended up being true, right? So it's just like you never know what's gonna happen. I feel like you would. I feel like it could even be the final trailer where the last thing you see a web, and everyone of course assumes, oh, cool, Tom Holland's gonna be in this, and then camera pans and it's Tobey. I feel like you can't. Well, you can strike lightning twice. We've seen to me, them doing Endgame and No Way Home proved like, okay, you can get this huge movie, but like even Endgame, it's like that's one of the biggest movies of all time, broke all these records. I don't think I think they would show it because I think it would feel a little samey of like, well, we're gonna hide Tobey again and not say anything, you know?
Yeah. I feel like I'll play the other side just for argument's sake. I feel like I'm pretty 50-50 on if they would or not, but just for argument's sake, I'll say that they are going to keep him hidden. Just because like leading up to Multiverse of Madness, like it's a little ways away, but still I don't think that's the main appeal for the movie. Whereas Spider-Man No Way Home, just like the rumors, especially just when we had Alfred Molina like spill the beans, like very very early on, like. Do you remember when that interview was in relation to when the movie was first supposed to come out?
I think it had already be delayed. I think it was already delayed at that point when he dropped the interview, but I feel like it was at least okay. So no, he was starting to do press for a Promising Young Woman. That would have been Oscars time. So somewhere between March and April. So it was a long. Either way, it was a lot. Like let's say it was April. That's what. May, June, July, August, September, October, November. That's at least almost 8 months away and stuff like that. So it was quite a while into the process, like long before when he spilled the beans. So
I think just that, like having that, like okay, say if you believe it or not, I feel like it was like pretty easy to be like, oh, okay, he's gonna be in there, and then who would come along? Well, Tobey would be the one in there. I think people wanted it so bad that they were kind of tricking themselves into thinking that maybe it won't. They would have shown him already, but it was just the worst kept secret. So the reason I brought that up is just because leading into Multiverse of Madness, I don't think people are looking at Multiverse of Madness being like, oh my gosh, this is going to be the one where Tobey comes back and appears. We're talking about that now just for fun, but like still, like I think there's so many other factors in that movie that can kind of disguise a lot of other like side players or cameos that could make an appearance in that film. So that's why I think they will keep it hidden. And even if like let's go the route where he is in it, I can't imagine he's a major player in the movie. Like, does he have much to do with the main players of that movie? We have Doctor Strange, evil Doctor Strange, Scarlet Witch. I guess Doctor Strange would be like the closest one out of all of them to it, but it's I'm gonna lean in the camp that they don't show him.
So it's tough, and I'm gonna refer to SBUB says that first interview was a few months before the first trailer. I got a few things SBUB says that I will respond to because I'm in a similar line, or at least I was in a similar line. He says I'm still doubtful Tobey will actually be in the movie. I don't know why. I just feel like he's not in it. Obviously, it'd be great, but I'm still suspicious. I was that way when I heard about the voice thing, especially because like you have the James Marsden things like that. That could be a number of things, right? But to me, the trajectory right now, it's kind of like what I was saying before Kirklin went. It feels very similar to what we had Tobey and Andrew's like, oh, there's rumblings. Oh, like we had already had signs of those voice actors doing stuff for No Way Home. And look, they're in the movie, right? And I feel like the fact that obviously you got people always clout chasing and looking for clicks, but we're just starting to see more people talk about it. And that when more people talk about it, that's when it's like, okay, I think it is actually happening. And I think if this is a multiverse movie, the other question SBUBs asked, like, okay, out of all these rumored cameos we have, who do you preview? I think you preview the tangible ones as far as like I almost call him Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange Supreme. You preview him because that's really cool, but we still know what that is because of What If. I think you show Peggy Carter as Captain Britain because, yeah, that's cool. It's confirmed in live action, but we still know what that is because of What If. Tobey is like that where you could show him that's a big thing. You go, oh, man, Tobey's already back. This is cool. And we already know him because we already let the cat out of the bag once. We don't need to hide him again unless it's like a really cameo. I think for me, the signs were, and this is another thing that Brent had talked about for not years, it seems like years, years because COVID time, but at least months. His idea was, what happened if Tom Holland went to the Sony universe, and for the deal that Marvel and Sony struck, where it's like one for you, one for them, what if the Spider-Man that they're using is not Tom Holland, it's Tobey Maguire? After No Way Home, I thought, oh, that's not gonna happen because they would have left Tobey here in the universe and like, I gotta get back home, right? But to me, I've always said this, where I just don't see, in a year from now, they can announce a whole new slate for MCU and I might get it. I just really don't see where Tom Holland's Spider-Man fits right now in the current MCU as far as the movies coming up. If there was an Avengers movie coming up, then sure, but like, I don't see him in Thor, I don't see him in the Disney Plus shows, I don't see him in the Marvels, I don't see him in Wakanda Forever, I don't see him in Guardians, I don't see him in Blade. I like, the most is maybe Deadpool, but that's not even on the schedule. So if we don't, like, if we see him, it's still not made for a couple of years. And if you look at the appearances, it was always like Civil War, Homecoming, Infinity War, Endgame, and then Far From Home. They're very close together. So to me, it would make sense if, okay, their one Spider-Man appearance is Tobey, because yeah, it's not Tom Holland, but it's still just as big. And you got to think too that you got the Sam Raimi connection that worked already. That'd be fun. No Way Home was supposed to be after Multiverse of Madness. So there's a chance that there was going to be some storyline where Tobey got left or something happened, but because of COVID, they changed some stuff. There could have been somewhere Multiverse of Madness establishes Tobey and he was going to be in the next Spider-Man, but then they switched the spots. So I feel like there is more evidence building up to it more and more. And, I actually forgot to mention that rumor, Fanboy Clay. So I'm actually going to bring that up, this Miles rumor that's going around, which I don't know if I really believe this one either. But let's see. What if they hide it because the scenes prior to being thrown into the plot where we're seeing him with Miles? Well, and that's the funny thing. There was a rumor this week that it was the next plan. I'm not holding my breath to hear announcement, but the next plan was for Spider-Man 4 was actually for Holland to get Miles. And because he's like alone, that's how he bonds with Miles, because no one knows who the fuck Peter Parker is, so this kid helps him. I don't know how I feel about that. I would almost still rather want Tom Holland to have like one movie alone, and I still would I'd rather Miles be with Andrew or Tobey, just someone a bit older, in my opinion. I like that idea of, okay, he's alone and he needs help somebody, but just like, I don't know, but I just feel like the evidence is starting to build for Tobey, and I feel that I think he will be. And it's so funny. We got this. There was a picture going around of like, here's all the rumored cameos of Multiverse of Madness. There's a lot of characters, but out of them, I saw it was just a picture of Tobey in a suit. But my eye goes to that one still, even though we already got No Way Home. I was like, oh man, like I hope that's there. And because I just love Tobey's Spider-Man. Like Andrew Garfield said it. He said it jokingly in that interview we watched, but it's like, oh, I wasn't gonna do the movie unless Tobey did it, because like I go wherever he does. I'm a lemon for Tobey, and that's my name, because it's just like, yeah, he's just so great. And S-Bubs does bring up Fantastic Four, and that's true. But at the same time, if you look at all the roles Spider-Man's had, okay, Civil War maybe was standing because it was smaller, but even then, good role there. Infinity War and then the little appearance in Endgame, they're all big moments. I don't see him like, if we're counting just a cameo, then sure, but I wouldn't same thing. I wouldn't want Spider-Man in the Fantastic Four movie, because I feel like, not that it takes away, but I'd rather them be building up the Fantastic Four. Like, out of the movies I listed, Kirkland, unless, like I said, in a year they announce Avengers 5 or Secret Wars, do you see somewhere that you could see Holland's popping up? Because, like I said, that's my one thing of, like, that's why we could get Tobey in that, because that's checking off the box for Spider-Man in a Sony movie,
Yeah, I agree with you that I think it is going to be a smaller role, just because we've had so much Tom Holland Spider-Man in like the main role, which isn't a bad thing, but you got to save some screen time for some other characters and stuff like that, and it's a pretty nice way that they ended it, because it's not definitive, but it's also not like, okay, well, when are we going to get this conclusion or something like this? Like they have it in such a good zone where he's somewhere in New York swinging around, stopping crime, just being a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. And if we get to like the next 4 projects, all the projects that you listed off, like he doesn't have to appear there. Like we can still just have in our head, okay, well, he's stopping a little grandma for getting her purse stolen or something like that. Like he's just in there. It's awesome that he is there, especially with that awesome new suit. But I still think that he will appear in a bigger project and have a bigger role. I'm still so hesitant to like really lean into that camp, though, mostly because of contracts with Sony and Marvel. It's so dependent on if he is going to be like a head honcho, who's going to be leading that charge, and just how it fits in the MCU. But I don't know. Like I was playing around with some other like TV shows that he could possibly just have a cameo in. Fantastic Four. I think that'd be really really fun. Just him interacting with like Johnny Storm or something, just very very quickly. He like. I don't think it's a bad thing, honestly, if he goes like a Mando route too, where it's just Tom Holland like voicing. Like we don't even have like a face reveal or anything like that. We don't need him like just kicking ass in the suit or something like that. Especially if it's something so minor. I don't know. There's a lot of options they can do, which is so clever the way that they left with No Way Home, and gotta tip my hat to them. I'm so glad it ended that way. But then my heart is telling me like, well, when's he gonna see Zendaya again? Like, when is that gonna happen, right? So, is that gonna be in Multiverse of Madness? Don't think so.
No, I don't think so. I think
Yeah.
I think that have to be in. I would love if they had the balls to do another Spider-Man trilogy, and in Spider-Man 4, you didn't see Zendaya or Ned. You get
Like
get
the
them in
first
5.
movie of the next trilogy.
Yeah,
You're saying?
yeah, because I think that, or if you see them just like a snippet, like one little scene. I am with S Bubs as long as Black Cat's in it. I'm good with anything. I would. I still again think that might be too racy or something. Now, S Bubs, this is another thing that it's funny. This is just spreading today that. This is another scooper viewer non. He's somebody that S-Bubs put some credit in, and he said something where someone had asked him about Tobey. He said, "I've heard conflicting things, so I really just don't know." So that's what I mean. We're getting in this game again because people might remember there was tons of people that would say these people are lying. They're just trying to get clips. Tobey and Andrew clips, not clits. That's you can do that in a different sort of way. Maybe there are people. Maybe there's people just throwing out dick and poo-tang for like, oh, Toby's in. Do you want to know if Toby's in No Way Home? Yeah, just come on over. But like. That was the same thing where some people, there was other scoops who was like, oh, I just really don't think they're going to be in this movie. I haven't seen enough and stuff. So I feel like the closer we get to it, we will know. And it's a good thing because obviously we got more trailers. We got more marketing. There's lots of things to happen. We just started the new year and trailers are good to get in the new year. You know what else is good to get in the good new year is a fresh taint or a fresh pubis. Because what you want to be doing is what Kirklin's wearing a shirt right there. Manscaped. Carl, you better be listening. You need this the most, Carl. You want to make all your jokes? Well, if you don't got Manscaped, you're not a funny guy. People are going to be laughing at you and not with you because you're going to take off your...
too. He needs to be smooth down there. Just
you can
save you on your mile times.
You got to be growing that. Like, if you're growing that in the winter, you got to be getting rid of that big old bush right now because cheers to 2022 and resolutions because they just keep going. And how about, I had to stop because I think my mount almost came off the hinges in the middle of it.
Glad you stopped.
How about having a clean and shiny balls all year round? Our sponsors at Manscaped for this month are here to save you and your balls this year and let the real balls drop into 2022, the cleanest and sexiest and sleekest they've ever been. Set your New Year's resolutions for good intentions and join the 4 million man worldwide Manscaped. Use our code GVPOD to get 20% off and free shipping. Yeah, this is a targeted advertisement. 100% it is. Like, again, gentlemen, we get it. Winter happened, but now we've said this before. Snow's melting. You got Valentine's Day coming up. You got lots of things. Look at Carl. He's running. No, it could make him, a couple spots slower is just sweat and just gnarly stuff going on in there. But use Manscaped. Not only are you going to be nice, silky, and smooth, you're going to be nice shaven, you're going to be clean, but you're going to be safe. You're going to have that light to guide you. You're not going to get any cuts. You're going to have lots of different tools and deodorants. Especially, talk about the crop reviver. Carl, after a run, oh my goodness, he's going to maybe need that whole bottle after a crop reviver. Because the thing is, think about this. Most places, unless they're by a lake, there's not just like showers after a run. It's not like, oh, you run and then there's a shower. And you're going to be sitting there, you're going to be talking to people, you're going to be taking photos and stuff like that. I know it's the worst thing is when you're taking photos and you're right beside somebody, you don't want that person to be like, man, this guy has some stinky balls, like, does anyone smell?
Manscaped.
Someone's going to does anyone smell that? And someone's going to yeah, that's Carl's balls. But guess what? If he had that crop reviver, that wouldn't even be a thing. And that's why you shave it before, because you shave that, and then if there's anything else, boom, you put the Manscaped shirt, the Manscaped boxers, you can change after. Just a plethora of stuff, Kirklin, right?
Especially if, the guy who's taking a photo with Carl, he just used his fancy weed whacker from Manscaped nose hair trimmer. Like, his scent level is at 100, so he is smelling everything, including the
Yeah.
bad. So yeah, you need everything basically to go hand in hand. I used the weed whacker actually just before cast. I noticed my little hairs were starting to show, and I cannot believe I used to be a tweezer. I used to be a tweezer guy.
Oh my god, yeah, that's
I know.
like
I used to just
jigsaw
pull
saw
them.
level stuff.
Some of them are like attached to the back of the brain. I swear to God, they coming out there so long. But no, I am nice and smooth now. I can smell the roses. It's awesome.
Yeah, and like we said, go on the website right now. I just use the plow right now because I like to be, my face is nice and silky smooth. Because now, after this ad read, I want you to talk to me about my hair because you had a hair question. But for me, the black hair, because I'm blonde, I don't want any stubble coming out, so I'm shaving all the time. The plow, as I've said before, I recommend many times, and they didn't even send me that. I bought that, so that's just a full-on recommendation from me. And like we said, don't be like Carl. You don't want to be the stinky balls guy. That's gonna get you nowhere in life. Imagine you showing up to your next race and you're like, oh look, there's that guy. He fucking
There's
his
the
ball,
stinky ball guy.
his balls fucking stink. So go to Manscaped right now. Use that code GVPOD, get 20% off and free shipping. Just do it. You know you want to. You don't want to be Mr. Stinky Balls. And you don't. And here's the other thing for you ladies: if you feel like your man comes home from a run or a gym and he's like stinky balls. You don't want that going around because you're dating stinky balls. And I think that's even worse than being stinky balls. And two, you don't want that near you. So go use that GVPOD, or go use that code GVPOD, 20% off, free shipping, good stuff. So we'll be right back after this ad read, and then we have some other things to talk about. So stay tuned.
I wrote it down, by the way. I got it.
Yeah, I'm just in the wrong spot on my laptop. And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. So, Carl, I hope you liked that ad read. There's some payback for you, son of a bitch. Go listen to After 9. Good time. Let's address the chat here. So, if Sony and Marvel made a new deal or extended the contract, I think it would have gone public already, unless they want full Baby Yoda mode, nothing leaks. Well, and that's why I agree. That's why I think that to close it out, Tom has that thing of, okay, no one knows his identity. He's just being Spider-Man. Great. Okay, we have one more. And then they go, hey, we just used Tobey. What if you'd like to use Tobey? And even Tobey and Andrew. I feel like that builds just as much hype for Multiverse Madness if Tom was in it. So that's why I feel like you get that appearance, you get out of the way, and then you can create a new deal. So I agree with you about a deal. That's why I don't really buy the things yet of, hey, in the MCU, Miles going to be our... That one's tough. Maybe there was rumblings. Maybe they want to do it. But I very much want this deal to end and then them to create a new one. Because after No Way Home, they found like a good balance for me. Where before I did want the deal to end, I like that Venom just got kicked heave-ho out of there. So that made me very happy. So I do want a deal, though. So I hope it does happen soon. Big Wumbo, my man. For some reason, I feel like Tom might pop up in Quantumania after he webbed up against Giant Scott in Civil War. I think it's possible that Scott might remember that and ask Tom for help. I don't the only thing is I don't think so is just because technically in the movie no one's supposed to remember Peter, right? So I'm sure eventually they will, but as of right now I don't think I would. For me, I wouldn't personally like Scott to be like, oh yeah, I think I remember some sort of webbed up guy, but maybe he just remembers Spider-Man. Again, we don't know. We're gonna have to see as it goes along how they tackle that. But fuck, man, disregard my last comment. I completely forgot about that. That's okay. Big
we read it
Wumbo.
on air. It's in the
yeah,
ether
you're
now.
stuck now, but at least you're not stinky balls guy, so there could be worse things. Bug Think Team movie. I've said that for a while. I think on a Patreon episode I did with Heinz for GUA, I said I wanted Ant-Man Spider-Man team up, and just Paul Rudd, Tom Holland. That's a good thing. So speaking of Multiverse of Madness, this actually was shared to me, and I'm not sure they might be chatting about it on Marvel Alliance, so go check out that show. But this was shared to me by Christopher Balga. I don't know if his name's Christopher Balga. That's what I'm going with.
It is on this show.
It is on this show. He's not what Carl is going on, so that's a good thing. So he shared that. So there's this guy, you're gonna like this. His name's Professor Hulk on Twitter, and he's like a scoopster, right? So he did a Q&A. I think it was yesterday or today or something like that. And they asked him what cameo was he most excited for? Or could they reveal any more cameos of Multiverse of Madness? And he says everything that's out there everything that's in the movie has pretty much been reported. But then in kind of indexes or brackets he put except for a huge one, and then didn't say anything more. So I wanted to ask you, and I will start the bidding off. And I'll just say why I think this guy, or it's great. He might have some information. What's huge to him might be not huge to someone else. He fucking like Jennifer Garner's Electra could be his favorite character of all time. And that could be huge. But to me, because we already got Tobey and Andrew, who to me were the huge ones. To me, when you say huge one, I know you have other great Marvel casting. You got Wesley Snipes as Blade. You got Patrick Stewart, who's been rumored to be in this. You have Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool, stuff like that. But and yeah, I suppose we'll get in that. But the thing is, to me, when you say huge cameo, there's only one name that springs to mind, and that would be Hugh Jackman. Now, this is what I'm going to ask you, Kirklin, just based off my response. I really don't think Hugh Jackman is in this movie. There was rumors they tried. I do believe they tried, but I legitimately believe he's done with the character. I'm fine either way. If he comes back, I'll be hyped. It'll be cool to see him in the MCU. If not, I'm completely fine, as it was a great ending, one of the best superhero endings of all time. So, if it was Hugh Jackman, how would you feel? I think we've kind of talked about this, but I more want to ask you, is there anybody you would consider a huge cameo on the level of Hugh Jackman now? Because to me, and maybe I'm biased because Wolverine's my favorite Marvel character and stuff, but I still feel like from how many years he did it, from the public knowledge, everything like that, the love of that character and love of the actor, I don't think, other than you could have like argued Tobey and not Andrew so much, but maybe Andrew is like the combo with Tobey. Other than them, I don't know if there's anyone in that kind of S-tier status of previous Marvel actors, but maybe I'm wrong. Do you have somebody that you would consider on the same level as like a Tobey and a Hugh Jackman of like, oh, they're in Doctor Strange and Madness, and that's huge, you know?
I mean, like similar caliber, I think like Downey would be in that same conversation. I think I'm.
That's true.
I don't even know what you're feeling. You're not hard against. You're kind of 50-50. You don't think he's going to be in it, but you're kind of.
No, I
I'll
don't
be
think he
happy
is.
either way.
Yeah, I'll be happy either way because at first as I said before, I think it was Endgame time when they bought Fox, and I was like, oh man, I really want him to be in the MCU. Blah blah blah. That was in the era of, and it could happen because we have the multiverse. That was in the era of I want him interacting with Downey. I want him interacting with Chris Evans. I want him in the original Avengers. Not that this next Avengers team is going to be like lower tier, but I don't have the same desire to see Hugh Jackman interact with, you know, I don't know, like Tom interact Cruise. With, well, yeah, Tom Cruise, but yeah, same thing, like Tom Cruise, or even like, no disrespect to Simu Lee, but I'm like, I gotta see, you know, Simu Lee and Hugh Jackman, like, oh, that'd be cool, but like Downey and Jackman, to me, that's like $1 billion movie, like imagine those two together, like that sort of things, right? So
absolutely, and like, I bring up Downey just because he kind of fits that caliber, but I still don't think he would be in it.
No,
for the exact same reason why I don't think Hugh Jackman would be in it. Like they just had such a perfect send off, and you know, Logan happened what 2017, yeah. Like, yeah, okay, that was a few years ago now, but it's still too close for me. I think if I want Hugh Jackman to come back as the role of Logan, I want him like Patrick Stewart age, like old, and then like that would completely blow my mind because it's like, oh, remember back in the day when we had that pitch perfect casting of Hugh Jackman Wolverine, and then we just like randomly get him as just like old Logan, like as the same character. I think that would blow my mind, but it would also be a nice time delay where it's not like, oh, okay, he's back, but he still kind of looks like the exact same. I don't know. I'm probably not doing the best way of explaining that, but I just don't think that those type of characters would be in this just because they had such a perfect send-off. Like, why run the risk of bringing that back in, like, just a small cameo? Why run the risk of deterring? That's not the right word. Bringing that down, I guess.
And I guess it does count, but the good thing is he can always be a variant of Wolverine, right? He's not that Wolverine, but he's a new one. I know, but I'm just saying now, as usual, me and Claire always disagreeing, but I will say something to Claire that maybe he might not understand what I'm trying to say. He says, Wolverine would have fought against Wenwu, so yes, I didn't even have that talk with Shang-Chi. What I mean is, you had Downey, who was the cornerstone, the headstone of the MCU, started it all, and then you had Jackman on the other side holding down the Fox universe, doing it for many years. To me, that was more a legacy thing of saying, man, Downey and Jackman on screen together. Wow, what a moment this is. Even Evans, wow, what a moment this is, because Evans just grew and grew. It would be cool to see him with Simu Lee, but it would not have the near same impact as far as Simu Lee is a great casting, but he's nowhere near the iconic that like Downey was after Iron Man, right? As far as, oh, this is pitch perfect casting. That does have to do with the character of Shang-Chi not being as popular, but for me, it was more about the legacy. It's the same thing. I originally, before we did the recasting, I wanted Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man to come over from Sony and just be in the Avengers. When there was all these talks, and I was like, oh, we're recasting. But it was like, I want to see Andrew with these Avengers, with our current crop of just that era. So that's where it just feels like Hugh Jackman, which is kind of funny for him playing Wolverine, but it's almost like a man out of time, where it's just like, I wanted it in the MCU, but I wanted it in the MCU at a certain point. Like this around the time when Tom Holland came in, a few years after that, that's the time. Like Tom Holland, he got the best of both worlds, because if they sign a new contract, he got to be there in that original MCU era, and then you get to be around for the new era. The only other person that's like that, honestly, is going to be Mark Ruffalo, but it's Hemsworth, because he's the guy that I really do think he will be on the next Avengers movie. He said he's going to do this as long as they want him to do this, and I believe that. And why not? Hemsworth is a great star. Yeah, like everyone loves him. So he's going to be one of those only people that was around for the old school, and he'll be around for the new school. And that's more of a transition. So that's where, for me, I'm the same thing with Patrick Stewart. I'm much more open to, okay, let's get some new actors doing this if this is like the new school, because I wanted to see Hugh Jackman with our original Avengers. Now I want to see Wolverine with these Avengers. I don't need it to be Hugh Jackman. You know, that's the thing. Exactly. Get me Henry in there, you know?
Yeah.
Let's see. As Bob said, Professor Hulk is kind of iffy for me. He's super vague and gives us very super long shot rumors that would be forever hard to prove if he's lying. And he says, I say my super reliable, definitely real Anna Armas scoop is as reliable as Professor Hulk. I will say that, like, you're right, he is very vague. He's definitely gotten some stuff right. So that either means two things. One, he doesn't know as much as he puts off, or two, he's somebody that is like very in the industry and he doesn't want to get fucking caught or something like that. And I just, like, again, I don't think there's any other huge cameos I can think of that haven't been rumored. And that's kind of the thing with Multiverse of Madness, right? Like, everything's rumored. But to me, if you're talking Jackman or Downey, I really don't see that. I don't. And maybe this guy was referring to the Tobey rumors too and stuff like that. And I guess that could be the case. That is big, but I don't think it's huge now because we got it the one time, right? I think it can only be huge once. You know, I think there's like a level to that, but I don't know.
MCU could argue your point there. You can only be huge once.
Oh yeah, 100%. But hey, I was joking about this with Taylor last time with Boba. Maybe it's Batman. You know, that's the huge one. Same thing. Like that's the like that. Talk about a movie that break fucking records. If Robert Pattinson's Batman was in Doctor Strange: Multiverse of Madness, that would be fucking wild. Never gonna happen. But
I know, I didn't even want to say it, but in my mind, I'm like, just Henry Cavill flying through Superman. That would fucking blow my mind. I think I'd be more puzzled, but at the same time, I wouldn't even care, because I'm like, I don't want to wake up from this dream. This is amazing.
Warner Brothers is like, we don't want him to be Superman in our movies, but you can have him Superman over here.
Yeah, in another world. But like another name that I think I was bouncing around, and I don't even know if I would equate it to huge. You'd probably agree with me here, is just like Ryan Reynolds, Deadpool. Like, it's a big character. It's one of those things that's like, when is it going to happen? We know it's coming, but like, when is it going to happen? I think if he's in here, that'd be a big deal, but it also wouldn't be huge to the point of Hugh Jackman or Downey.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's my little asterisk with that pick, but I think it could fit, just the fact that it's just, this could be a great explanation for why he's just in the MCU now. Is he just like broke through the multiverse? And then he just sticks around.
Yeah.
I don't know, like the tone that I'm getting for what this movie's gonna be from the trailers and just from what people have been talking about. Like, I don't think it's a Deadpool movie. But you know, that being said, it doesn't mean that you can't have a quick little comedy moment with Deadpool, right? Like, I don't think it would take away from the movie. If anything, it would just lift it. Maybe some people would be like, I should have been in it more, but it's more of just setting up of what's to come. I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility.
What I could see with this movie is I could see it having a very similar level or layout as Endgame, where the first hour was the inciting incident as far as they find out a way to do time travel. It's all mopey. Doctor Strange's not going to be mopey, but the first hour is, okay, we're setting the stage for all the plot and what's going to happen in this movie. And the third act was, okay, the Avengers had done all their mission and everything like that. They go back, big war, and they fight and everything like that. But that second act that was right in the middle was them time traveling, and that's when there was like a lot of fun. When it was like visiting old eras of the MCU, visiting old characters have been dead. You know, Robert Redford, Frigga, Thor's mom. I could see it being like that, where the middle of this film, this is where he starts to literally maybe jump to different universes, and they're trying to find some sort of MacGuffin or some sort of character MacGuffin, and that's where you almost get like a segment where it's like, okay, they're like in Endgame, it's like they're in Avengers 2022 or 2012. They're at Vorag or Vorag, whatever, to find the stone.
Vormir is sorry. I'll let you go.
Well, there is another Rag or so, but yeah, Vormir. We're going that way. Okay, we're following Peter Quill. I could see that happening with the multiverse characters and stuff like that, having a nice kind of middle, like fun section, and then at the end we get down to the nitty gritty and have our moment and whatnot. So, or it was Morag. That's what I was thinking. Yeah, I combine them together and stuff like that. So I could see something like that where the middle has like a fun section, and that's where you could fit a Deadpool in there. Because even Endgame, these high stakes, there's some comedy. Most of the comedy is in that middle portion where there's like, Captain America fighting Captain America, stuff like that,
Yeah, no, I'm always down for that. I think that was such a fun segment, but it didn't feel like it changed like the important moments of that film. Like it was in a good section for it. So I mean, if it's that route, I don't think I would. I don't think I would not like that. If anything, it makes the laughs more believable and not just forced. And it's gonna be MCU, so there's gonna be some laughs in there. But I think that they are pretty good at their delivering on especially the bigger movies, the big crossover movies. Yeah.
Well, we'll see. I'm sure we're gonna get obviously we'll get another we'll get another trailer for Doctor Strange. But it's going to be, much like No Way Home, it's going to be a fun lead up. Again, I said this, I'm not sure if you listen, I can't remember if you said you listened to the newscast or not with me into this. I don't want to repeat it, but like what I was saying there, Maddie asked the question of like, what cameo would you be most disappointed not getting? For me, this is just so different because like with Tobey and Andrew, I really, really wanted to see them. Sure, I'd like really want to see Hugh Jackman, but I'm pretty content if we don't because we got so many films in the years. Like you got to think, like he had much longer run than Tobey and Tom, or Tobey and Andrew, like he went on like a decade. He had like 8 films. So for me, I don't need to see Jackman again. With No Way Home, once that idea was planned, it's like, okay, I need to see Tobey, I need to see Andrew. But all these cameos would be fun. But to me, I'm still just more interested in the story of Strange and Wanda and what's going to go down there. Like these cameos, I'm not like I'm anticipating them, but it's not like, oh my God, Defoe was confirmed. I'm so excited. Like, I don't have any of that right now for any of these characters, which is fine. But like, that's where for me, I'm excited to hear about all these rumors, but I'm not as caught up as I was with No Way Home.
Yeah, it's so weird for me, and I might get like lynched for saying this. Are you interested? Maybe I should rephrase it. Are you more interested? No, that's too easy because I know what your answer is going to be.
In Wanda than Doctor Strange?
So we get Multiverse of Madness.
Yep.
And we just have Tobey. I feel like I kind of want Tobey and Andrew. Like I just like them so much more together after what was shown in No Way Home.
Remember that report, but assume Andrew will be there too.
Yeah. That's right.
That to me doesn't make sense. It's just like, did they clearly separated. I don't know if I need
see them separate. They're like, hey, you want to just come to my world?
No, remember they disappeared separately together, or like they at the same time, but they were.
Oh
separate
yeah,
when
they
disappeared.
That's right.
Yeah,
Right.
I don't think I need because here's the thing where in my mind I've said that Tobey, if we get more of them, Tobey's gonna be the Hulk and Andrew can have his own adventures. I think Tobey will go and make appearances in other movies, and Andrew will do his own thing, and then they'll bring them all back together. Like I've said it before, I'll say it again. We're gonna get more of all 3 of the Spider-Men together, whether it's Sony or Marvel. But I think that I'm fine this time, especially because it's almost like with it Sam Raimi directing it. That to me is like why it's more important if Tobey's there. Where Andrew, like that's cool, but Sam Raimi and Tobey, they're one of the cornerstones of starting Marvel being so popular in the films, right? So
I agree. Yep.
Once one of these cameos is confirmed by a trailer or variety deadline, that's when I'll start to believing it more in these cameos. Well, and that's where it's tough, though, S-Bubs, because, like, I guess... So, we had Jamie Foxx confirmed by, like, a trade, and I think maybe Melina, but Defoe never... And here's the thing, like, Collider confirmed some of them. Collider has, like, an iffy track record, but lots of the big trades never came out and said, like, Andrew's in it, Tobey's in it, because I think sometimes the studios do pay a little extra, like, hey... Like, sit on this. We don't want this out. If you do us this favor, we'll help you out. So it's tough if they are just cameos, because what we talked about with the spider people and the villains, they all had lots of roles in No Way Home. Like, they had substantial screen time. If it is just Ghost Rider riding his bike, fucking some people up and like trying to penance stare Doctor Strange and they go to a different multiverse, or Deadpool just popping in like Stanley to have an appearance, I don't think the trades would necessarily report on that, or like it'd be a big deal. But again, I guess for clicks it would be. But I don't know what we're gonna get confirmed, because we still, what we got February, March, April, so 3 months. Lots of things can happen, you know.
You'll be getting this. Gotta pull that up for Taylor.
Oh man, that was such a good image. That's actually pretty good. I forget about that. So
Taylor, if you're just listening, I pulled up the Ghost Rider riding on the what would you even call that? The breaking of the sacred timeline, I guess.
yeah, it was something like that, you know. So, well, we'll see. You know what we're going to be seeing here soon is apparently we're going to be seeing a lot more Star Wars games, because it was put out by Lucasfilm. That very strange. We talked about this on the newscast that there were some rumors that May the 4th they might reveal Jedi Fallen Order 2. They kind of just said in a press release like, yeah, that's happening. So okay, that's cool. That there we go. The sequel. We could knew that was happening, but still, it's a confirm. And then Respawn confirmed that they're also doing a first-person shooter, and then they're also doing some sort of strategy game with some sort of former XCOM employees or team or devs and stuff like that. What do you think about this, Kirklin? Obviously, I think you're kind of like us, that maybe you weren't the biggest fan of Jedi Fallen Order, but what do you think about, obviously that's going to get a sequel, successful game, but the other two games, maybe strategy game and a first-person shooter?
Yeah, so I mean, I like all those genres. I am definitely like, my main genre is strategy, and anytime I can like tie that into an IP that I really really like, it just gets me super excited. What's with this like XCOM team just like crossing over with all these other realms, eh? Because it was that team that also did Midnight Suns, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, and then now some murmurs, I should say.
I think it still might be
dabbling
different
into
people, though. I'm not sure. Like, as I thought I could be wrong, but I thought Dylan was talking about that same thing. Like, oh, that's a lot of work for them to do Midnight Suns and this, but I'm not too versed on.
He's
so
probably right. He's a video game guy, so.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, this is awesome. Fallen Order, I thought it was honestly a solid game. I definitely has like bug issues, but just the material that it's putting out there is really really fun. Say what you will about like the game mechanics, I don't think everybody loved the almost Dark Souls type inspiration there, but also people played that game for that reason. I know a lot of Dark Souls fans that loved it. They're like, oh, it's too easy compared to Dark Souls, but like you know,
it's Star Wars.
Yeah, they're able to enjoy it at least, and just play as a Jedi. That's always fun. I don't think you're able to do that since like Force Unleashed, and that was a hot minute ago. So
a Battlefront,
awesome.
you can play as multiple Jedis, you know, all the heroes.
A centered story about a single player experience. But my biggest interest with Fallen, I'm getting mixed up now with that. Yeah, Jedi Fallen Order is just how it would work story wise, especially with, you know, Cal being canon and just like. I don't know. I'm starting to see some inklings that it might be a live action thing. I don't want to, you know, something BD related to a certain thing I just watched. But I don't know. I'm
don't want to spoil it at all. Eh?
Just where they go story wise with that, especially if they're trying to incorporate it with just some other canon, and just we're exploring a lot of different canon avenues on the live action screen, and it just, you know, animated venues for Star Wars. So I'm really intrigued story wise what that'll tackle. And then the strategy that's I could take just that out of these two. That's how much of a strategy nerd I am. I absolutely love that genre and first person shooter. I don't think you can go wrong with Star Wars there. Like, you know, as long as the engine looks nice, it doesn't matter if you're playing as a stormtrooper, if you're playing a rebellion. Like, that's just going to be so awesome, I think, especially if they capture it well.
I think
Sabak.
Yeah, Sabak as the strategy game would be great. I don't think it would sell, so I don't think they're gonna do that. I think someone could make a great like mobile game of Sabak, but I don't think this will be that one. I can't remember. Someone had I can't remember if it was in the GUA chat or the Discord chat, but someone's talking about like a Thrawn strategy game, you know, because Thrawn's all about strategy and Tobey all over that. But yeah, it's interesting. It's funny that they're in this, and yeah, S-Bubs, you're on the similar. I think Taylor shelled this out. To me, this sounds like an awful idea. For me, this is like, and I don't mean to
Third-person
say.
shooter. I would eat that a little
Yes,
bit easier.
to me, like Mandalorian, if we're getting a Mando game, that has to be like Uncharted. That has to be like a story-driven, third-person Hitman, even stuff like that. Where even like Hitman, you could have the option of doing a first-person view. Then that's fine. I could see something like that. But I feel like Mando has to be an action-adventure story game of him, even if it's before he meets Grogu on some missions, bounty hunting, and stuff like that. It's the same way as like when they announced they're doing an Avatar game. Like, we're doing an Avatar game, explore the world as the Na'vi in first person. I went, oh, okay, this doesn't feel like this fits at all. So I think Mando, it's funny, we all keep saying like, when's there gonna be a Mando game? When's there gonna be a Mando game? It will happen. I just don't know when. That could easily be a game Ubisoft's working on. I remember, there's another company working on a story game, I thought too. I always think it's Amy Henn's game and stuff like that. But either way, I know that got canceled and she's moved on and she's doing something else. But I thought there was someone. Oh, I'm alone. I thought there was somebody similar doing something. So Mando game, I think we'll get at one point. It's just a question of time. I think Ubisoft almost it would work for that. I think the rumor says that you might be a Jedi, but still, I think that would make sense for you to do that because multiple side quest missions. That's what Ubisoft does, right? Strategy, I'm kind of down to see whatever. I would just completely love it if it was very similar to what I just pimp it out, Battle for Middle Earth. I love that game. So if you just had the multiple factions, the Empire, the Rebellion, planning, stuff like that, I guess it's more real-time strategy. But still, like, I'm down to see what they create. I'm down to see, is this going to be like a full-on console game? Is it going to, which it will be, but I mean, like, is it going to be more smaller tier? I don't know. We'll see. Let's see. Tell me. I'm not gonna answer that one, big one, because I don't want to too much spoil. But you can check out our Mandalorian review. We talked about that. First-person shooter. That to me is interesting. I had shouted in the Discord that I was a massive, massive fan of Dark Forces. I had it on the PS1 and I played that game so much. I don't know if you guys remember, and I can't even remember if this was the creature, but I feel like there is at one point where you get down in a dark cave or something and you're stuck there with a Rancor. Oh my god, that was just like, it was from a first person view, that was scary. And there's a lot of things in Star Wars you could do. I don't think it is like an online multiplayer thing where, because I think they would have said, hey, we're doing a, not that they do like a war zone or something like that, but hey, we're doing a multi-person online shooter, play with your friends, there's going to be some sort of battle pass, something like, I know, because I guess Battlefront tried to do that and stuff, but I think this was a clear sign Battlefront's not happening. One of the guys that works on this game is done stuff with Force Unleashed and Battlefront 2, but I think they're stepping away. I think it could be more storyline based and whatnot. Big Football says if Kirklin left because he's tired, he's most likely like boys. No. He's his internet has dropped, so maybe he'll come back. If not, I'm holding it down. Fun fact: Dark Troopers debuted in Dark Forces. Really? That I feel like I remember seeing them on like a manual or something. But I just loved seeing the layouts in that world and everything like that. So I would be down for a first-person shooter. As people know, I'm not the biggest fan, but I've started to get more into the genre. Doom really brought me back, and I play Warzone quite a bit with the boys over here. So I would be very much down, especially these games. I'm always down to try Star Wars stuff if I love it. And then Jedi Fallen Order 2. I hope it's good. I liked the game enough, but I think it was very overrated as far as the amount of people praise it, like it being like a Game of the Year contender. No, not to me. And then I also just think that it was very buggy. I had lots of problems. If you've played the game, you know there's this one moment where you fight like a dragon, or you have to like do like a button time sequence on the dragon. My screen was like completely gone. It was like Cal riding just like air, and I wouldn't get the buttons, and I was stuck, and I would literally just have to like guess like what button it's going to be. It was an awful, awful experience. So I had lots of problems with it, but the story, the world, and Cal, lots of good things. I think the sequel, especially now because he's kind of like, I really hope you get a chance to bring over your lightsaber, your design, things like that, and you don't just start at square one, because as far as like Cal kind of like leveling up and being like, hey, I am a full-on Jedi now, and I don't need to, he was a Jedi, but I'm a full-on Jedi, not hiding. I'm here, I'm ready to kick ass. You don't gotta do much setup with Cal. So, and the good thing is, it's the place where I hate the dark times. The dark times, you have so much potential to tell the same stories over and over. But it's gonna be him on the run looking for other Jedi. There'll be cameos and stuff. So it's good to have you back, Kirklin. I just went over stuff I had and everything. What I was gonna say,
I
is
had you on my phone, YouTube. I was.
Oh yeah, I was gonna. What do you picture as far? Like I was saying, I don't picture the first-person shooter game to be anything online or like a multiplayer sort of. Like I feel like they would have said that in the announcement. Like we're working on an online multiple person. Like, I feel like it could be not like even maybe story-based, but some sort of aspect, like the same way Doom was, right? Where Doom is like I think there's an online feature,
right?
But Doom is primarily like lots of big sections where you're mulling through people. Like I feel like it could be that.
I feel like it's so easy to picture a first-person shooter like online PvP. But also, Doom was a good pull that you had. But also, actually, I think even Doom had some sort of like PvE element. Or I also think actually in the new one they introduced like an asymmetrical multiplayer where one person's like the big bad Doom like villain, and then there's a couple other Tatooine Spice Wars. There's just like a bunch of other like human soldiers like trying to take out the main guy and then his like AI allies, I guess. I think that could be a fun option. But I think it would be clever to stick away or keep away from the PvP element. They could always add that, but I don't want that to be the center focus of the game. First-person shooter campaigns, they're not like the biggest story pushers or anything like that, but one of my most favorite like story playthroughs that I did in recent memory is actually Titanfall 2. That was I think that game was centered more about the PvP, but I really like the story.
Yeah,
it was
Briggs
really
loved those games too. He always just going on about them.
They're really cool, and just having that with a Star Wars skin, I think that's super intriguing and exciting. And then if they introduce something, if anyone's out there familiar with Halo, like what they had, I think it was called Fire. Oh no,
Fire Squad?
It was Fire something, but it was just like waves of enemy.
I'm the fire starter.
No,
hey,
not
did you ever see Charlie's Angels 2?
Oh, absolutely.
There's that moment when Justin Theroux, he's like Drew Barrymore's ex, and he's the guy, and they have this big fight in the middle. And yeah, there's that like on the fire starter song. And it's like hey, and they're fighting. Man, stuck in my head forever. Great movie.
Was
better
that the
than
second
number one? That's in the second one, yeah. Because you probably thought it was the first one because you thought, oh, that was the better one. No, Charlie's Angels Full Throttle is the better version than number one.
Okay, I know I've seen them because I had them on like DVD, and I just remember them and they're just like stripping and just using like their bodies as a weapon, seduce men. And I was just like a young kid, like I don't think I should be watching this, but whatever. But
Joey's in it. That was always a weird anytime because I was such a massive Friends fan.
He was in the first one too. Was he in the second one as well?
He's better in the second one. No, he isn't. No, he is in the first one. But no, I was just talking about in general. In the second one, it's all about he knows that she's a spy, but what's his name? Oh, I can't remember. John Cleese. He plays Lucy Liu's dad, and they're trying to find a way to tell him, like Joey. I don't know what his fucking name is in Charlie's Angels. He knows she's a spy. The joke is that John Cleese thinks that his daughter is a porn star, and they keep going on about that. And Joey's like, "Oh yeah, I've seen her take on like multiple guys at a time. It's wicked." And then at the end, he's just like, John Cleese like, if this is what you want to do, I support you. And then he's like, "Oh, thanks, Dad." And we should retro them one day. And then the other person. Greatest Joker we never got. Definitely more 90s, not now, but 90s. Christopher Gloven in that movie. Fuck, he's as the Thin Man with the hair and everything, and he has that
Isn't
look.
That the first one?
He's in both.
Oh my gosh. Okay, is this like part 1 and part 2?
Well, not really. But I'm just again. I said I was talking about the whole overall franchise. I was just talking about Christopher Gloven.
Second one's better.
Second one is better. But either way, because in number
is in the second one. I thought they killed him off in the first.
I thought so too, but in the second one, they start to redeem him as a good guy, and he's like in love with Drew Barrymore's character. Stuff like that. I
thought he was always in love with her because he like grabbed the hair.
Well, the first one we didn't know that though. We just thought he was a fucking weirdo. But in the second one, it's revealed that he does it because he loves her. And then I think Demi Moore shoots him like right away. And Demi Moore's the villain in the second one. Come on, like I know what's his name, Sam Rockwell's the villain in the first one, but Demi Moore, no. Full Throttle's better.
So good in the first one. With, like that villain twist. Oh my gosh, that's. I have a lot more memory with the first one because I rewatched it like a year or two ago. I don't think I've ever rewatched the second one since I've been an adult.
Yeah.
been allowed to watch it, but I did some googling. It's called Firefight, the PvE mode in Halo.
Yeah,
So if
we're
they had
really excited
something
about
like
the Star
that-
Wars game.
So if they introduce something
Yeah.
like that with the first-person shooter, I think that would fit really well. You have like a squad of 4 just taking on some whoever.
Are you
some
rebels or
stormtroopers
stormtroopers? What do you do?
It's too much to ask for both.
Yes, that's why I said, what do you do? I feel like you gotta be the
Um,
good guys, right? They'll make you. I
gotta
feel
be
like
it's so much easier to market that, but honestly, I would want
Yeah.
to be the stormtroopers.
yeah, but you know what? You know what is also better? You want to be the stormtrooper, but the thing is, when you're the stormtrooper, you wouldn't see them on screen. You're just gonna see the guys in their weird ass helmets. So I think it's more fun to shoot the stormtroopers than
True.
it is to shoot the weird rebels. You know?
I got a pitch. What if it's the stormtroopers and it's like super like a horror like game, and then you're just like Ewoks or like in the trees, and it's like a
Oh
Predator game.
fuck!
Yeah,
It's like
that could be
Gollum,
scary.
but like it's just called Ewok, and like
And the
you're-
animation's really weird.
Yeah. The Ewoks got big eye, even bigger eyes. No, I would be so. That was one of my favorite modes in the newest Battlefront. There was like an Ewok mode where
I
you'd
remember
have.
that,
Yeah, it was a fun time. So I would like something like that. Do you think this shooter that's already in battle? Yeah, I was just talking about that, Spubs. Very similar. Yeah, sorry, Kirklin. You know what? Leave this cast.
Next gen
man. We don't need
S-Bubs.
to get
The
S-Bubs back
next
in. Yeah, next gen Ewoks. Speaking of Ewoks, it's so funny. So, just a little tangent, but whatever. It's Star Wars
That's
related.
what we
So,
do.
I highly, highly, highly recommend Ambience World. He's a YouTuber. I probably talked about him before, but he takes like movies, video games, TV shows, music, and he creates like them to be like an ambiance and stuff like that. He has one you would love, Kirkland. If you ever want to sleep, just go put on Ambience World and put on Rivendell. Oh man, falling asleep.
You told me
that
about
'cause-
these guys.
Yeah, he adds in water effects. He adds in bird. Like
That's awesome.
it's so soothing and whatnot. So, anyways, there's another good guy named Mr. Ambience. He's like not as popular as Mr. or Ambience World, and Ambience World I think puts in like I feel like there's a bit more work done there. There's a bit more. He only does like one video work where Mr. Ambience is putting in so much. But my long story as I get to Ewoks is through a search engine, it recommended me an Ewoks one. So we put it on, and this is what the girls fall asleep. Like Gwen's favorite track is the Shire. It has Gandalf singing in it. It's so good. Logan's is Moana. But anyway, so sometimes we switch to Star Wars because there's a great one, Dagobah, really, really good. But anyway, search history, whatnot, took me to like a different YouTuber, and they had like a Ewoks, whatever. What's the planet called? Why am I forgetting where they live?
It's not Yavin 4. No.
No, that's the
Oh
for
my
you-
gosh. Keep going. I'm gonna have to look.
Oh, it's hard for me to keep going because like Endor, right?
Yeah, good
Yes,
pull.
I got
Good
it
one.
before I got it. So anyway, so it's just like Endor ambience. And I'm like, okay, I like the Dagobah one. So let's see what this is like. So I put this on and it's good. It has the sounds like that. And then about like 5 minutes in, because these kids are trying to sleep, they have the Ewoks going nuts and you're just like, woohoo! Yeah! Rrrr! And Emily hated it. She's like, you're turning this off right now.
Fuck.
Yeah, just a clip from Morbius. Or a clip from Matrix. Time to fuck. But like it was like, and the thing is like, there's in the Dagobah one, there'll be like animal sounds, but then they kind of go away for a while. Once the Ewok sounds started, they were consistent. It was like, and Emma's like, you're turning this off right now. These kids aren't gonna sleep. And we were just like laughing so much. So check that out. But what I was gonna ask, going back to the video games, this is where we tuned out. So they're supposed to be talking about Star Wars. I just did talk about Star Wars, motherfucker. What era do you think the shooter could be set in? Because the strategy's tougher, because that could be like so much stuff that could be covering multiple eras, right? I'd love it if they did that. Like I said, but again, like I don't know. It's not. They didn't classify it as real time strategy, so I don't know what strategy it's going to go for. So like what? Like obviously probably more XCOM, like I imagine. So that could kind of be anywhere. A shooter. What era? I feel like to me it just has to be Dark Times because it can be Rebels versus Stormtroopers. You know, like always the Dark Times.
Yeah, that's the easiest. That's the easiest to market. Like you could go like, oh well, we haven't had a newer trilogy first person shooter Star Wars, so then do like the Galactic Empire, whatever. No, what the hell are they called? What are they called? Help me out here.
Who?
The new Empire. I am blanking.
With
Star
Kylo
Wars
Ren
also.
and everything like that.
Yeah, they're called like the. Oh, Taylor's rolling in his grave. Just kidding. He's not actually dead.
Oh, because they have the
rolling in his new chair.
Resistance, and then there's the First Order.
The First Order. Yes, good one.
Yes.
Look at you with
Yeah.
your Star Wars pulse. You had to go
Oh,
to
yeah.
the depths of your mind on that one.
I beat S-Bubs
You
again. Good
beat
thing for that
S-Bubs.
delay. Yeah, every time S-Bubs you say it, literally, like I say it and then you come in. It's so funny. But yeah, the First Order, which they should have
so-
just like, it's just Empire again.
Like, you could go that route. It's very similar to the Dark Times, very similar outfits and everything like that. But you kind of get away from the Dark Times there. But I think that the safe bet, I'd put my chips on the First Order. It is interesting when you get into like the strategy element because they could do anything, like you mentioned. They could do the Old Republic, where a lot of your main troops are probably just Jedi because there's so much more of them in that time. Even just like the prequel area, like just there's so many political sides of just trade blockades, the Confederate Trade Company, and like just all these agreements. Like that's very much leans into a strategy element. So you could do that time. You could do everything and do a Civ route where you kind of like evolve through the ages. That could be something very unique. But like you said, XCOM, I think it would be tied to one era. And yeah, I don't really care what the era is on strategy. I think it's just having that Star Wars skin is so awesome. You can make your main troops Jedi. You can make your one commander a Jedi, and then like every other troop is just more like a foot soldier. Really, really works there. But for first-person shooter, I'd say Dark Times, and then give me that Ewok survival mode. Even though S-Bub shouted out, it's already been done. Just focus more on it. Make it a
They
lot
should do like
scarier.
a Friday the 13th one where it is like you were talking about, like the Ewoks literally
Yeah.
hunting you down. Like it's
Like,
just 6 people. Yeah, and that sounds
Just hear
happy,
that
but
in
then
the
when they see you,
trees.
it's just like
They just
like-
got like blood on their face. Like it's
Again.
just totally M-rated.
they were fully about to kill Han before Leia and C-3PO stepped in. You know,
That's
So-
true. Yeah. Star Wars politician simulator.
Yeah, I like a Sims almost, but get it to be Star Wars. So let's take our some sort of ad break. Don't know if it's the last one, second last one, but we're gonna take an ad break and then we'll be right back. And we're back. So let's see what we want to talk about next because let me look at
What do you
my
wanna talk about?
my goodies. So let's talk about. I guess I should have probably talked about this in the MCU category, but let's talk about Moon Knight. This is nothing big, but it's just like a little talking point. It was in 4 days, so Moon Knight trailer came out. We reviewed it. Go check out that cast. Lots of fun. We're all very excited for it. In 4 days, the YouTube views, it passed every single other trailer for the Marvel Disney Plus shows. Not the movies, because those, some of them, especially No Way Home, massive numbers. But for the Disney Plus ones, it passed it. And I wanted to ask you, one, why do you think that is? Obviously, it's just views. We don't know exactly how your algorithms work, but let's say it's just based off excitement. Why do you think in only a few days it passed these other ones that have been out for a while? And two, do you think that is just like, okay, that was watched, people are curious, and it won't translate? Or do you think there's a chance? Because we talk about all the time, right? Like, who's going to be the first show that could take down Loki? That Loki with the Samba numbers was 2.5 million. It's probably higher because Samba does not track every TV, but let's just say for that number that is. Now, I'll throw to you that I don't think Moon Knight will be the one, but do you think that it's like really good success of the trailer is a precedent to what it could do on Disney Plus, or you think it's just, hey, people want to check it out and see? 100, yeah, that's Bubs too. Everyone is replaying the trailer here, the Kid Cudi remix. It is a really good remix.
It is a good remix, yes. I really don't know what the main reason would be there. Like I could say, oh, it's Oscar Isaac, but then, you have Haley Steinfeld, who is a phenomenal actress. And if you don't think she's on the same caliber of Oscar Isaac, Jeremy Renner's in there as well. If you don't think he's the same caliber, like we have Elizabeth Olsen, right? Like there's just so many other big actors that I can't just put it on the one big actor that would lift it. Maybe it's just a weird concept. WandaVision was a pretty weird concept. I think it's just all of those things kind of building upon the previous shows that we've already seen. So maybe people have seen WandaVision now, Loki now, and let's just say they're all caught up. They've seen all the shows, and then they see this trailer, and it's so different than what we've seen from Falcon. It's so different from what we've seen from Hawkeye. Maybe some people are disappointed with the way that Hawkeye went. Maybe it was just a little low impact on the MCU, whereas this one, it's introducing like literally an Egyptian god. Like it looks really creepy, very trippy. Got the Kid Cudi remix. I think it's just all of those things really factoring in, and I do not think it's going to be the show that actually topples Loki, like you said. But I still think it'll be very well received. Just like I was going to say, very well received critically, but
I think
it's
critically
tough.
will be.
It's tough to predict that, right? When we've only seen.
Yeah,
Like,
but
first
Marvel,
episode
other
could
than
be really
Eternals,
bad.
has a really good track record. You know,
You're
like
right.
that's the
No, you're
thing.
right.
And I was gonna say that I have to look because I think the way it goes is I think it goes Hawkeye. I could be wrong. Someone let me know as far as like what Sama put out. I think it's Hawkeye, Wanda. Yeah, because we talked about that. It was their lowest. Hawkeye was the lowest when it premiered. It was Hawkeye, WandaVision, Falcon, and Loki. I don't think they tracked What If for some reason. Probably just because animated and they thought, I don't know. Maybe it's on there. I'll have to look. But I don't think What If crossed those numbers. I think we've talked about this before, but now that you've seen a trailer and now you see these numbers, where do you think it falls in that that category of the four that we have right now? As far as, do you think it's second? Do you think it's more lower tier? Where are you at?
So number one, just to
Loki.
rack my memory, we got Loki and then Wanda.
Yeah, because I think the way it went, like Loki was for sure 2.5. I think and these are just the premieres. Falcon was like a 1.7, WandaVision like a 1.6, and then I think Hawkeye was like a 1.4. So yeah, it was Hawkeye, Wanda, Falcon, Loki from descending to top order.
I don't know specifically where it's going to line. I want to say it's going to be very close to Wanda. I don't know if it beats it or just is a little bit below it, but I think it'll be very comparable to Wanda. I say that because it's just a trippy concept that it's kind of introducing. WandaVision kind of flattened out after those first few episodes where it felt a lot more MCU, which could probably happen in this show. I think these trailers are a lot trippier than what the Wanda ones were, and Wanda was already just very, what type of show am I going to get, really? But the leads are phenomenal. They're both lovely to see. They're both lovely to look at, Oscar Isaac and Elizabeth Olsen. I think it's going to be in that realm. That's kind of a cheat answer because I'm not really giving a hard set, but I think it's going to be close to that. I think I'd be surprised, honestly, if it beats Wanda. I don't want to say like, oh, it doubled Wanda or anything like that, but like it just beats it by a decent amount. I think I would be surprised by that. I'd be very surprised if it gets close to Loki.
Yeah, I would be too. I don't think it's going to get there. I think it's because, I was going to say some other thing to you that I think we're showing at least what I think we've always talked about, that people do respond to the differentness, like the difference, the different
novelty.
type of.
It's something fresh.
Yeah, exactly. But it's fresh in multiple ways where, okay, it's fresh with the concept. I think it's a little bit darker, so people like that. I think with it being a little bit different, that's the way the comic book franchise survives, because if you just keep making the same thing over and over, people will tune out. So I think that helps. But I think when you talk about the fresh, what literally is happening is, other than, we had Shang-Chi and Eternals, but for the Disney Plus shows, you had WandaVision, Falcon, Winter Soldier, Loki, and then Hawkeye. You introduced a lot of new characters and concept, but all of them still were established characters, right? So really, if you didn't like Falcon or Winter Soldier, you'd be like, that's not really for me. I'm going to skip that show. If you didn't care about Wanda or Vision, I'm going to skip the show. This has that, this is a new character, which they've already shown these shows will cross over the movies and vice versa. So it's not like they might not have to put this like caped guy in the movies. You might go, he's actually going to be in there. I should probably look into this. So I think the fact that it's Oscar Isaac helps, but I think the fact that it's just new, not even just a new type of Marvel project, being a bit more like horror-esque and dealing with mental illness and dealing with some almost Fight Club themes. I think the fact that this is a completely new character debuting on Disney Plus, I think that does have a lot of people talking. And I do think just in general, it's a weird thing to say, but that's how superheroes and comic books were made. Is I think there's just a big thing that Moon Knight just looks cool, and I think as more mainstream people see him, they're just who the fuck is this guy? With the eyes and the cape, he just looks cool, So I think that always helps. Where I think it could rank, I could see it being. I think it will actually beat Hawkeye, which is very interesting. Enough Hawkeye jokes, but I think the other thing that helps it too is, people are going to be watching No Way Home over again, but we had December and then January, February, and then it's March 30th. So you almost got 3 months, almost 3.5 months of no MCU content, and this will be the first one. obviously WandaVision's not the biggest show, but that had that just rush of like, oh man, finally MCU contact is back. This is nowhere near the same drought we had because of the pandemic, but there is like a little bit of drought of like, because Morbius move, okay, nothing's happening for a bit. So I think that's almost the fact that Moon Knight is like kicking off the new year, and I think the Batman will help because not because, oh, it's white Batman. I just think the Batman's going to be great, and it's going to put people in the mood to consume superhero stuff, and when they see another caped individual, go, oh yeah, sign me up. So I honestly could see it being very close to Wanda and Falcon. And you know what? I'll take I don't know. Do I want to? I'll be bold. Do I want to be bold though? Do I
Be
want to go?
bold. Be bold. Just jump in.
No, because I don't. I want to be bold, but I also want to be right, Kirkland. That's the hardest thing. I want to be right. So, yeah,
I'm pushing you to be bold. I don't want you to be right.
Yeah, you know what? I'll say it'll come just under WandaVision, but I want to be wrong. My bold pick was it was going to be number 2, but that's very bold because then we're getting into almost nearly 2 million on a premiere. But we'll see. Not too much longer. It's only a few months away. Batman and Moon Knight 1 month. It's going to be a good time.
March is going to be lovely.
Oh,
Bahrain's coming back. F1. I know you're excited to be following this season.
Oh, absolutely. I can't wait for Bahrain 1 and Bahrain 2 and Bahrain 69. Those are my favorite racing tracks. So what I'm very excited for as far as talking about number 2, I don't know if I'm actually very excited about it, but I am interested in it, is we have a confirmed Mortal Kombat 2 is being created. Now, we talked about this before or I think you and Taylor did a story that is like rumored at the top of a universe and all this stuff, but today HBO Max or Warner Brothers had like their earnings call, and HBO Max is doing well. It looks like the Discovery deal for them to merge is going to happen Q2 of this year, so either April to June, July-ish. So once that happens, we're going to see a lot of movement on things and stuff, like even be like way above us as far as business, but in the summer, lots of moves could be being made. But in this call, I talk about successful things, and they did talk about that Mortal Kombat 2 is in production and is being written currently. And are you excited about this, Kirkland? Because this was the biggest movie on HBO Max last year, very surprisingly. But what surprised me more was it was such a big movie that we didn't hear any official sequel announcement. We heard like rumors and reports, but the fact that they didn't come and say, like, yeah, this movie that was watched by a lot of people, we're making a sequel, but it's confirmed. It's I think his name's Jeremy Slade. I can't remember. I think he's done some stuff with Twilight, but he also did some stuff with Hannibal. So it's, there's some good stuff there, but I'll find his phone. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is exciting news for me. I'm not going to say Mortal Kombat was a perfect movie, but just as a fan of Mortal Kombat, I think they did a pretty good job with with what they had. They gave us some awesome Sub-Zero and Scorpion sequences. Introduced a new character that I thought was a smart decision. I didn't care for him that much, but it was good to have a protagonist that I don't have a lot of vested interest in this character. It's not like they're taking Raiden and just making him the main character. Even though thinking back on it, I really didn't like the version of Raiden in that movie, which is kind of funny. But just just insert whoever you want. Let's say it's following Sub-Zero, and then I just hate what they're doing with the character. It's like, look what they did to my boy. There's not that much, like leaning on that character. So it is kind of smart in my mind that they introduced someone new, but the other characters were really, really well portrayed, and I hope that they just explore more, because Mortal Kombat's one of those things that just has so many characters that you could just tackle with, and the fight scenes were fun, and it was a fun watch, and that's really what you need in a movie like that. I remember watching that, and I even had Shay on the couch with me watching it, and she even said that wasn't that bad. So that's a good thing, because normally when I watch movies for the podcast, she absolutely despises them, especially. You've seen some of the Patreon movies that we've been not forced to watch. We've had the privilege of viewing, and she has been there with me sometimes, and she has not always loved them.
Yeah, there's still a few Patreon movies we got to do here soon, so I gotta schedule that up. But so the guy that I thought it was, that's a different writer, because it was something, because I remember when Hannibal's happening and they're like, oh yeah, there's this guy and he's been he directed some episodes of Hannibal, but I think he directed one of the Twilight movies, and I was like, oh, this is kind of bad, but it just kind of worked. He's not that guy. It's worse. Face, so it's worse. So I started to look up. Now, luckily, I don't care about Mortal Kombat 2, but what I do care about is, apparently it says, speaking of our last conversation, He is the head writer of Moon Knight. So now here's the thing. I'll go back to his credentials of what he's written before. So the Lazarus Effect, which was like what was her name? Olivia Wilde, like Possession. It's like, okay, fine. He did the screenplay for Fanforstic, the 2015 Fantastic Four. He did the screenplay for the 2017 Death Note. And that's what's very concerning. Did you ever see that movie?
Yeah, I passed.
Oh, you did. Yeah, it was a good call because that was really bad. And yeah, so I'm a little less confident not on Moon Knight because hopefully there'll be other show writers and like Feige's there. But oh man, that's a little deflating. I didn't know
there was some fun fight sequences in the first one that you could be like, well, that was good to watch. You're not excited for that stuff again?
But he didn't write the first one.
Yeah, well, you're still gonna get some action, hopefully.
Yeah, but no. Here's your homework. You watch Death Note, and then next week get back to me and tell me if you're still excited. But
I still got some Golden Geeks movies to watch, so I think I'll choose those over that.
Oh, we're saying movies that are from. One second here.
Get movies, the other people in this chat. I want to confirm that up with
movies from 2017, or specifically Jeremy Slater written movies are acceptable. So that means Logan's back on the table. That means, yeah. Well, yeah. I'm excited enough. I know lots of people bag on the movie. I thought it was fine. I had a good time. I got enough enjoyment with it. I think I maybe passed. It was pretty low, but I thought it was enough to be like, okay, that's fine. So. Yeah. Anything else, Kirklin? A little bit lighter news week this time, but not always a bad thing. We got lots of stuff popping off.
Yeah. No, not a whole lot. Go check out our other stuff. We got big gauntlet matches coming up next week.
Yep.
Forgot to promote that at the beginning.
I did. Yeah. You just don't want to promote because you're going to lose that title. So.
I was reminded to promote it because I started the newscast from your guys' episode on Monday, and I was hearing you razz me a little bit there.
Oh, yeah. It's not razzing,
bring it up.
Just the truth telling. But yeah, me and Kirklin Sports Title, Taylor and Dylan and Halo Infinite. We will be trying to narrow down a time this weekend, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, tomorrow when you're listening to this, there'll be a Peacemaker review. I'm excited. That's been getting better and better. It's a pacemaker. Yeah, that's coming. That's next. That's when he gets older, So, but yeah, until then, thank you for tuning in. Hope you're having a good week, and we promise you when you hear from us next, I'll not be boring.
Peace.